People nowadays consider the culture of the 20th century to have reached its zenith and to be on the decline. We can say, therefore, that we live on the border between two cultures. One is going into decline, and the other is ascending, just beginning its development. In its consciousness, mankind has passed through a dark night, an epoch which the Hindu call the Kali Yuga. This is a very long period of darkness, but we are close to its end. We are witnessing a gradual improvement in human thoughts, feelings, and actions, and within the organizations we have created. At the present time, every human being will begin to experience the divine fire, which will purify them and prepare them for the new epoch. Humanity will ascend higher in comparison to where it has ever been before. We are entering a new phase of the physical world. It will affect not only the earth, but the universe, the entire cosmos. Everything will undergo a transformation. Part 1. Paneurhythmy. What is paneurhythmy? Paneurhythmy is the great universal harmony of movements. Literally translated, paneurhythmy means divine, cosmic rhythm. Everything in life is paneurhythmy. At sunrise, the polarity of the earth is negative. In other words, the earth is the most receptive during the early morning dawn period. This is a very important fact that we need to keep in mind in order to really appreciate the meaning and importance of the sunrise. This is the reason why at sunrise in the morning, the human body is the most receptive to solar energies. There is more prana. In other words, there is more life energy in the morning compared to that in the afternoon. The Master has said, everything in the future culture will come through musical harmony. The movements of paneurhythmy should not be confused with ordinary exercise, aerobics or ballet for instance. They are based on deeper laws which determine the way in which we come in touch with the energies of nature and the way we can use these energies for our development. Everything moves. This is a law of nature. However, when these movements are done consciously, we acquire something. Through the exercises of paneurhythmy, we come into connection with the vital forces of nature. In earlier times, we were in contact not only with the physical forms and shapes of nature, but also in contact with its spiritual forces. Today, mankind has alienated itself to a certain extent from nature. Our inner contact and communion with nature has become weakened. According to a basic law of paneurhythmy, there is an interconnection between tone, form, movement, color, number, and an idea. There is a correlation between all things, which underlies the whole of creation. For instance, in the periodic system of chemical elements, after each seventh element, we get an element with analogous features. We see a similar pattern in the color spectrum and in the octaves of music. In an octave, every tone is similar to the eighth tone that follows it. We can witness similar octaves also in electromagnetic vibrations. One can think of countless other examples of such correspondences in nature. When our movements correspond exactly to certain ideas, tones, etc., then the effect is a lot more powerful. Under such circumstances, the body is more receptive to the energy of nature. It absorbs this energy. It can feel it. It is revived and rejuvenated. We know from research that the human body, like all other organisms, emits specific energy, specific radiations. The energy emanating from our different fingers varies, for instance. We also know that the brain, the nose, the ears, and our body as a whole also generate such energy fields. These emissions are polarized. According to the fourth principle of occult science, all energies and all things in nature are polarized. Here are a few examples. There are two types of magnetism, north and south. Two types of electricity, positive and negative. The two types of energies which we see in nature in a variety of forms can be called positive and negative. They can also be referred to as the creative or the masculine principle of nature and the constructive or the feminine principle of nature. We can see the effect of these two principles in every culture. For instance, the creation of new ideas in a culture is the result of the creative principle, while the application of these ideas with the purpose of changing life in accordance with them, this is the effect of the constructive principle. The same applies to the life of every individual. As we pointed out, the energy emitted by our bodies is polarized. Generally speaking, the right side of the human body, the right leg, the right arm, and the hand are an expression of the creative forces of nature, while the left part, the left leg, foot, hand, and arm are an expression of the constructive forces. This is why in Paneurhythmy we always begin with the right foot, because it is the creative forces that are driving the forces behind everything. The creative forces lay the foundations and the elements upon which the constructive forces act. Shifting our weight from the right to the left foot, when it is done with the participation of our consciousness, changes the currents of energy from positive to negative, from creative to constructive. The Master says, one needs to get to know the scientific aspect of Paneurhythmy. Nature strives after the maximum result with the minimum of effort. In Paneurhythmy, the forces of our mind, our heart, and our willpower work together in harmony. Through Paneurhythmy, people can learn how to receive the forces of nature. In accordance with the evolutionary laws, we begin with the body. The movements of Paneurhythmy have both a physiological and a psychological aspect. These movements have a great effect on human consciousness. They transform into inner psychic processes. We need to do these exercises with great concentration. Every movement needs to be conscious. We do not make a move if we do not have an object in mind. The movements are very powerful because through them you will be in harmony with all rational beings that move. This harmony is very powerful. If you do not get in touch with these beings, you will remain disorganized and you will live in a world of conflicts. In Paneurhythmy, your movements should be neither too fast nor too slow. Concentrate your thought on the arm that is stretched forward and also on the arm that is pointed and stretched behind. Let your arms drop. Try to make your thought energy go through your hands. In this way it will reach and pass through the center of the earth. When your arms are stretched upwards, The energy will pass through the center of the sun. When you align the hand stretched forward and the one stretched backward along a line at an angle of 45 degrees, there is a good circular movement of the electromagnetic forces. This circle covers your entire body, from in front and behind, and from above and below. When the circle is correctly formed, we feel cheerful. Just let your thoughts pass out through your hands and your feet, and feel that the entire universe is projected through you. Here I am just giving you some basic principles. When you do the exercises, you will begin to feel more free as you become more familiar with the movements and begin to learn from them. We do these exercises the way they are done in the higher world. They are not conceived here. They are given to us from above. In these exercises, we have the physical, the spiritual, and the divine world all together. In Paneurhythmy, there is a mingling of the different worlds. The physical movements should be balanced with the movements of our emotions and our thoughts. They should be in harmony. Then, any conflicts which exist at present will be resolved. You should do the exercises in order to feel younger. Through Paneurhythmy, we become kinder and more gentle. The movements of Paneurhythmy are conscious. They have a miraculous power. They affect the entire world. They do not affect us alone. When we do these exercises, we are in harmony with the entire creation. Then we are ready to accept the blessing of God, because everything comes from God. Part 2. The Rays of the Sun. Bulgarian folk songs were originally religious in nature, and they were used for the hora, a type of circle dancing. There are two different currents in nature. One is the current of the energy from the divine source, the wellspring of life, and it moves outward from the center. The other current brings the energy back to this center. In Paneurhythmy, when we dance the rays of the sun, the first current is represented by the 12 rays as they approach the center of the circle. They go to the center in order to absorb the divine forces, and then they move back outward in order to merge with the outer circle, which they set into motion. The outer circle represents the wheel of life. It goes into motion through the forces and energies that were received through the 12 rays from the divine center, from the great conscious origination of the world. This process has correspondences in many other areas of life. In the human body, for example, we can see that there are two currents creating the circulation of the blood, one through the arteries and one through the veins. The first current flows from the center to the periphery. It carries pure blood. The second current carries blood from the periphery to the center, so that it can be reoxygenated and used again in the circle of life. Here is what the Master says about Bulgaria and the Bulgarians. Bulgaria is a rich country, and I wonder why it suffers, given so much richness. Bulgaria is a country with a rich culture, and I wonder why Bulgarians live in ignorance, given these riches. All the forces that try to bring about progress in this country have been hindered. Bulgarians have a number of positive characteristics. They have a sense of righteousness. They are conscientious, they are tough, and they have the typical soul of the Slavs. One thing they lack, however, is sufficient love for God. I don't know any other nation that has demonstrated greater endurance than the Bulgarians. I really love and respect the Bulgarians. They can all be honest, just, wise, and good. When, you might ask? Right now. If I am to say how things should be, the Bulgarians can save themselves by accepting Christ. Work with the love of God and His wisdom in the broadest sense of the word, without any laws and without any restrictions. Woe to you if you are expecting to get salvation from outside forces. It is my task and assignment to bring to you the teaching of God. Your task as my disciples is to give this teaching to the Bulgarian people. The task of the Bulgarian people is to carry on this teaching and to give it to all the other nations. If I do not fulfill my task, I will be responsible to God. If you do not give this teaching to the Bulgarian people, you will be responsible to God. The Bulgarian people will also be responsible to God if they do not give this teaching to the other nations. Part 3. The Pentagram. The pentagram dates back to antiquity. It is a symbol of the 5 great virtues and the 5 great principles: love, wisdom, truth, righteousness, and virtue. These are 5 qualities that we need to develop in order to perfect ourselves. There are 3 letters inscribed within the pentagram, the way it is written in Bulgarian: V, U, J. These initials are the first letters of the Slavic words which translate as the great school of life. V also stands for master or heavenly leader. U is the initial letter of the word teacher and savior. In other words, we have a leader and a teacher of life. These are the letters of Christ, who is the leader of the universal fellowship of light. To all those who are willing to serve God, the first rule that we need to follow is written in the pentagram. The strength of the human soul is in the fulfillment of the will of God. These are extremely important words. If we pronounce them with a lot of concentration, we can experience their extremely powerful influence. It is not our purpose to try to convert people. We simply want to feed them. We want to feed these hungry souls. You may ask, is this food good? Well, give it a try. If you find it good, then you should accept it. We are not aiming at conversion. We just want people to try the food. I am giving you grain seeds. You may ask me, are they good? Well, sow them and you will see. The Word of God has the power to grow under all kinds of circumstances. That is how you recognize it. It has the power to grow under all conditions, even the most adverse ones. If you love me, you will guard and preserve my words. If you have love for one another, everyone will recognize you as my disciples. Paneurhythmy was brought to us by the master Peter Dunov, who used the spiritual name Vinca Dunov. He lived in Bulgaria between the years 1864 and 1944.